KSH6. This is 207.
It's been a year now since Maine Congresswoman Chellie Pingree was sworn in as a freshman member of Congress. It seemed a good time to look back with her, not just at the issues, but at what it's like on a personal level to serve in the House of Representatives. My first question to the Congresswoman was, what had been the biggest surprise in her first year on the job?
Well, I hate to admit this, but I think the number of times I got lost in the tunnels under the building, you know, getting from one office to another, it's hard to find your way around there. And if you get sent over to the Senate side, you could be lost for days down there. Do
you have a GPS that actually helps you get around the corridors?
You know, I think that would be very helpful. And then I read that Dan Brown novel where they have all kinds of intrigue in the Capitol. Now I'm afraid to go down there because there's, you know, little hidden tunnels and things. So anyway, I'm getting better at that.
How about on a more substantive level? What caught you a little bit by surprise?
Well, I think you know this when you're on the outside, but the great difference from being in a state legislature over Congress is there's far more of a seniority system. So while you can accomplish a lot in your first year, there's still a certain kind of deference that I don't think we do so much in Maine because we're all a little bit more like, you know, don't get too big for your britches kind of here. And the second thing is, as a state legislator, you know, you can pick an issue, write a bill, get it through a committee, take it to the floor, and actually get it passed. Now, you may not be affecting the whole country, but you feel like you're moving the debate forward a little bit more. And I think this year, with the massive amount of problems and issues we've been dealing with, sometimes you get a little frustrated saying, okay, when are we going to get it all done? In the House in particular, more so than the Senate, the lack of seniority really makes a difference in what you can and do, right? It does, although I will have to say, coming from a state with only 4 members in the delegation means you're right in the thick of things all the time anyway, and we work well as a delegation, so that allows you to get right into things. And I was very fortunate to be selected for the Rules Committee. That is kind of obscure from the outside, but the fact is every amendment that goes on to any bill comes before the Rules Committee. So all committee chairs come before us. There's only 9 Democratic members. It actually gave me a much more influential position than I would have expected. I spend a lot more time on the floor debating bills, and everyone has to get their amendment approved by us. So even if, you know, they're not necessarily thinking I'm going to be the difficult vote, they ask me for the vote. And I've learned a lot because of that. Obviously, you have good days and bad days. It's like any job in that regard. What has been, to you, the most rewarding part of your first year? Oh, I have to say, the 2 days where we, voted on the energy bill and the health care bill, issues that are very important to us in the state of Maine, and I felt like we had really worked hard on those bills, standing there when the votes were counted and listening to the cheers go up. That was an exciting moment to think that I was part of that history. And what has been the most disappointing part of the first year? I think the magnitude of problems that we're facing. You know, you can make some accomplishments, but, you know, not having better economic news, looking at the job situation in Maine and knowing that we're only making tiny baby steps every time we move forward, realizing what a difficult time it is for so many people. I think that's just, you know, you want to think that you can accomplish things and really change the situation, but, you know, this is the worst recession since the Great Depression, and you don't get out of that swamp very quickly. And I think it's frustrating at times when you want to help people, when you visit small businesses who have a great product but not enough customers or can't get enough capital from the bank. You just want to be able to do more. I remember several years ago, somebody wrote a column, or an article rather, called "The Unbearable Lightness of Being a Congressman." The point being, you're one of 435, you just can't get much done. Do you feel that? Do you feel frustrated? I honestly have to say, you know, people have their pluses and minuses about Speaker Pelosi, but she has paid a lot of attention to the freshman members. We're more likely to get our amendments attached to a bill, or more likely to be in the thick of things, I think, than ever in the past. And I do think with the magnitude of the issues, we've been far more involved than normally would happen, and our votes count. And in a tough year like this, where we're making a lot of difficult decisions, I actually feel like we've been able to do a lot more than would normally happen. What is your goal? What do you hope to accomplish in the next 12 months? Well, I've got some interesting bills out there. One on the working waterfront in Maine, which I think could do a lot for our fishermen and our fishing communities. I have a bill to regulate toxic chemicals like DECA, which has been regulated here in the state of Maine. I sincerely hope that we have a wonderful health care plan before us that really does great things for the state of Maine, and I'd like to see the energy bill passed so that we can fund more money for renewable energy here in the state. We're also working on our appropriations process, and that's a very vital issue here in the state of Maine, making sure that we bring back the funding that will help local institutions, small businesses, a variety of things that really do need our assistance.
Another memorable experience that Representative Pingree had during her first year in office was appearing with Stephen Colbert on his show on Comedy Central. It's part of a regular feature he does where he talks to members of Congress. If you missed it, it is still available online. We've put a link to the video as well as more information about Representative Pingree. Just go to the 207 section of our website.